you mentioned that the reason why the immigrant doctors are not recruited is because it's in the power of some people. Who is holding the power? I mean, this country is really in need of doctors, and it's a crucial question for me that who holds this power?
Who holds the power? We, like citizens, because we pay for the system, you know, and we didn't get for our money. So we vote for people, we choose them, and we want them to organize an accessible healthcare system for us. So whom to blame? We have to blame ourselves, you know, because we don't do enough. If you have to see your doctor and you have to wait for 6 months, okay, what to do? If you don't get your rendezvous, so you have to write a letter to your MP or MNA telling him, okay, the next time I won't vote for you anymore. So that we start thinking. So what we are doing now is, okay, we just let things go, you know. And politicians, as I said it for the time of the election, that we come, make promises, and after they don't deliver, you understand? So the system is under the government control, and the government had to take the right decision for us as citizens. But we have our part also. And I mentioned the grassroots initiative, you know. Here people, they sit down, especially seniors, you know, senior in the hospital, sleeping in the corridor. Can you imagine that? For the human dignity. So we have to do something.
If someone should come here into the medical system, then you go into the medical system, then let's say problem arises. Wouldn't that be more expensive to the taxpayers, that doctors are creating problems who are not qualified into the medical system when it comes to technology?
Okay. So, well, you know, when a doctor arrives in Canada, there are a couple of things, you know, to check. Okay, is he really a qualified doctor? Is one thing. So you check his credential, his diploma, and you compare his competency with the competency of doctor, people who are trained here in Canada, you know. So if there is something wrong, if that competence is not enough, okay, let's just send them to university to get more training. You understand? So here we don't do none of those, you see. So what's the problem? Okay, the problem is, okay, you're a doctor, first they have to let you enter hospital. Here in Canada, it's not allowed. Doctor, they can do everything, you know, except entering an hospital room. So hospital is the place you learn medicine, you understand? So if they don't allow them to enter, to integrate, or to have internship, even they can't demonstrate what they know, you see? And what is going on now, even in Quebec here, even to go for an internship, we call that observation, you see? You just watch what they're doing. Even they are not allowed, you see. So that's the problem. And this system is paid by our money. So this is a public system. We have to allow the doctor, you know, 2 times a week or 3 times to have internship, no? Not to stay in pizzeria or car wash stations, so and so.
I remember when Pierre Elliott Trudeau was the Prime Minister, he sent in the army to Quebec. And at that moment, the specialists went on strike, okay? Nice timing, and they got their raise of 50%, specialist doctors. Now, what else has changed in the last 40 years? Not very much, except it's got worse. I want you to tell me, if you could, what does an average doctor make, and a family doctor, and what does a specialist make? I think it's 6 figures, or probably some cases 7 figures. Could you give me just a ballpark figure?
I think the problem you have in Canada is, first of all, the primary care, what we call the primary care. That's the first entrance in the system. For example, you have a headache. If you have headache, you don't go immediately to a specialist. You have to go through, you know, a general practitioner, you know. And we have to fix that primary care. So that requires a lot of doctor, and even we don't have enough. So imagine here in Quebec, I think we need more than 3,000, general practitioner for the primary care. So the specialists, what they do is, okay, if you go to your GP after, if you think that he cannot manage the case, so he will send you to the specialist. But he can manage it, it's okay, That will cost less for the system because the specialist is too expensive, I think it's from $700 up, when you go to see a specialist. That's the reason why the government is trying to build and to organize the primary care. That is the first entrance of the system. But up to now, I think we didn't succeed enough. As I mentioned during my introduction, there are specialists here who went up to $1 million a year, like radiologists, Because here in Canada, doctors are paid by act, You get money from the number of patients you consult a day. And also, does have its good aspect and its bad aspect, because in the hospital, doctors, they don't have time to sit down together and to talk about, a case. Because you are paid for it, you're gonna work for it. If you make mistake, it's your own problem. I'm not concerned. So that's the bad aspect, So you have like a cardiologist, their salary is about $800,000 a year, It depends how famous you are, And after, for the GP, is something around $200,000, $100,000 to $200,000 a year. And women, they work less, because they have their children, and they work only maybe three days a week. It's also they don't. I have a friend. I think she's about $80,000 a year, because she wants to dedicate her time for her family, So it depends.
Basically, my question is there any way we can go to a university, or these orders they offer plans to doctors to say, okay, you're not prepared to the Canadian system, so come, we're going to prepare you for 1 year, and then present the exam, because I have friends, doctors, that they present the exam 2, 3, 4 times. Every time is different, and every time they change the scope of the exam, and sometimes they lose the exam for 1 point. So there is not a standard. Do you know if there is it, or it depends on the province? Is something general to the whole country? I don't know how it works.
Yeah, 3 years ago, Médecins d'Ailleurs, our website, www.médecinsdailleurs.com, so we made some proposal to the government and to the Collège des Médecins and to the universities. And what we propose to them is, okay, somebody who is qualified in France, or in Great Britain or Belgium, when it comes to Canada, first of all, in a hospital environment, there are a lot of work to do. Let them be like assistant doctor, So I know, I'm from the French system, physicians, they come from all the country. You go to, I don't know if you want to be in surgery, you go to see the department, and you say, okay, I want to work. So they admit you, because you come, you bring your competency, you work, and they pay you. They don't pay you like a full doctor, but at least you have something to make a living, So you make that proposal to them. So let those doctors enter the hospital, let them be assistants, so they will see how the system works, The organization culture is different when you come from France and you enter an hospital here. The way they plan the treatment is different, from one country to other, even here from one hospital to other, you understand? But they didn't accept. But now there are some provinces like Manitoba, Alberta, they started, creating those positions, assistant position. But before getting to that, you have to go to university. You have McMaster University in Ontario, who is giving like a master's program, 2 years program, And you can become a specialist anesthesiologist or radiologist, and you enter in a hospital. And after, 2, 3 years, when you are fully competent, so you get your full license, But Quebec, they refuse all of those proposals. They refuse. For them, they are incompetent, they have nothing to do. And we know that when you go to see a doctor, they rather prefer to send you to their private clinic, you know, because at the public you wait for 6 months, come to our clinic, you can have your ultrasound in 1 day, you know, but you have to pay. So that the two system, you know.
What I have in mind is that could that be that what we are facing right now is a kind of, it seems to be far off from our talking, but we are on a economical system, the capitalism, which is just at its end. What I mean is that during the glorious 60s, when there were money pouring and all the customers were buying and there were production and overproduction and everything was sold, there was a lot of money going to the GIP. Now, right now, in Occident, the market is mature. We don't need to buy that much. So, of course, when we are buying less, there's less production, there is lower GIP. So it means, of course, that as Dr. Bolduc was saying, the ratio compared to the GIP gets always bigger because the GIP is smaller. So we have to think over a new way of a commercial relationship, because the GIP in Occident is going to get lower and lower. It is a mature market.
So first of all, you know, the university entries. So I think for years in Canada, we practiced what we call the numerus clausus, you know. The entrance was limited, you know. So now with the charter, they've started now to openly the van. And according to me, I prefer the German system where they will train you, but they don't guarantee you a job in the country. And you know that in the world, we need about 5 million doctors in the whole world, you know, Africa, Europe, everywhere, 5 million. So you get your training, paid by the society, and you can go and work in United States. They need doctors, and you still continue to pay tax for Canada. I prefer that system instead of closing, you know, closing the door to people and to let people down. You know, so that's more economically available than to close the system, you see. So what we are doing here in Canada is, okay, we know that the system is costly. And one day, we cannot be able to pay anymore. So what to do then? Are doctors ready to volunteer? Are they ready? Okay, you go to a job, you treat people, you don't get paid. Like what was going on in Greece, you see? Are they ready to do that? So it's better now to take the measure. And I think those IMGs, they are taxpayers. If they give them job, they will pay tax. You know, they will increase the productivity, you see, instead of letting them down. So they're the worst, you know, non-economical way to do things. Because for them, they have the wealth is only for them, their safe financial well-being, social well-being, but they don't think, you know, for the collective well-being. That's the problem.
You've been discussing the problem from the point of view of health and fairness. Unfortunately, that's not the nature of the problem. The nature of the problem is basically political and economic, unfortunately. At the moment, the trend in medicine in North America is to increase the work of nurses practitioners instead of doctors because they're cheaper. And more hospitals are setting up those kind of systems. You're suggesting hiring more doctors, which may be true from the point of view of health and fairness, but it is not true from the point of view of economics. It's more expensive. Secondly, the medical system and governments in general are coming under increasing criticism from the public who don't like what's happening. And the politicians are afraid that if you're going to hire a lot of new doctors, particularly from visible minorities, this is going to increase the criticism of the government. So politically, they don't want to take the risk. So how do we re-educate the public and the politicians to face the real issues rather than the political ones which motivate them?
So I think when we look through the system, what cost? First, the salaries, you know. Second, the equipment. And if you what you have to do today, if you don't do it, if you postpone it for 1 month, there's what we call the inflation. And inflation is 45%, you see. So what we have to do we prefer a system where doctors are paid not according to their act, like in Europe, you know, in Europe, doctors, they are not paid according to their act. So if you work a lot, you get more than the doctor who didn't see enough patients. You will have bonus, you see. So, and also the doctor must be assigned to hospital. That means when you finish your study, you want to practice, you sign a contract with an hospital. So the hospital can send you, okay, can tell you, we send you to Chicoutimi. So you don't have anything to say. The system now is linked to the government. That means doctors, they are private practitioners, but they are linked to the government, which is public. So they can put more pressure on the government when government takes a decision and they are not happy about. So that what we are facing now. So I think the whole system needs a big reform, you know, starting off what are the positions are we giving to the doctor? Will they be like functionnaire or will they be like private practitioner? So this is something to solve. The second thing about the salary, will we continue with to pay doctor by act, knowing that that's very costly for the system, or we try to, okay, you study for 5 years, okay, you are specialist, you spend 7 years, okay, we try to give you this salary plus the bonus. If you work more, you get more, you know. So we have to think about all that. Because the way the system is now, the system is not managed, you know. And the upper government, this month, what he said, he will try to revise the system and put the system according to the income of each provinces. And I think this is a good decision for the future, but people, they are used to the old way of doing things. They don't want anything to change. And I think if you don't do changes, in more years, we will face big problems.
Thank you very much for being here with us. We very much appreciate it.